you've been in sales for 10 years now, or even more than 10 years.
Longer.
And you've seen longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
Not giving away your age. You still look very good and very young.
Appreciate it.
But seeing all the characteristics, seeing all the people you've worked with in the sales industry, what are the main characteristics you would say are required in an individual to work and operate in this space?
I'll break this in two halves. So I think that there's characteristics of people that are at the beginning of their journey, and then the characteristics I've seen of elite performers, let's say, that are a bit more tenured. So when I think about people early in their career, the first thing is drive, which I've already spoken about. You know, they've got a thirst, they want something more in their life, maybe a chip on their shoulder, something to prove, whatever the case is, but they are driven. That's the first thing. The next thing is that they're adaptable. And so when you're in especially software sales careers, things change regularly, right? When you think of all of these apps, the updates, there's constant change in these organizations. And so you've got to be quite comfortable in that. If you're someone who just likes things to always remain the same, it's not going to work out really for you. And the last thing for the people earlier in their career, I'd say they have a hunger to learn. So there's a constant thirst for knowledge, right? Someone mentioned YouTube's their favorite app, Mitchell, right? And you know, if you're using that for educational purposes, it's like that constant thirst and that hunger, right? And I can definitely vouch for that with Mitchell, for example, who's part of the program. So that hunger and that desire makes a massive difference. Now, when I think of people who are elite and have really hit a certain point in their career, there's a few things that stand out. One is their ability to articulate themselves. And I don't just mean in the way that they speak, but it's being able to take a complex concept and distill it down so that someone can understand it with a level of ease. And there's a skill to that, right? It's not always easy to do. You might represent a product or a service or a solution, but can you explain that to a room of 12 people where you've got some people who are really advanced and some people who are really basic? And that's difficult, and that's something that takes a bit of time. The second thing I say is conviction. You know, people that are at the top of their game, they really believe in what they're saying. They really believe in their product, their service, their solution. They can move people in a room to feel that level of belief and passion that they have in what they do. And so conviction is one of the other things. And the third thing I'd say is resilient. Sales careers are one of the only careers where you can have a 30% closing rate and you're deemed to be a top performer, right? Which means that 70% of the time you're losing, 30% of the time you're winning, but 30% is really good. And so think about that. You've got to be someone who's comfortable actually getting rejected more than you're getting a yes, and be comfortable enough to keep moving forward. And so the elite performers, what I see from them is that they are resilient, right? They know every no is just a step closer to a yes, so you just keep moving.